What if I told you that a city overflowing with wealth, beauty, and power vanished in a single morning? A place so prosperous it looked like paradise itself. Yet beneath the surface, it was rotten to the core. Their cries of sin and cruelty rose all the way to heaven, and judgment came not with water, not with armies, but with fire from the skies. This is not just a story of destruction. It is a story of warning, of mercy, and of hope for those who choose God's way. This is the story of Sodom and Gomorrah. Long ago, in the lush valley of the Jordan, stood two cities, Sodom and Gomorrah. Fertile, wealthy, and full of life, they were like the garden of the Lord itself. Travelers spoke of their luxury, but behind the riches, a darkness festered. The people lived without fear of God. Violence, pride, arrogance, and perversion filled the streets. They mocked righteousness and oppressed the poor. As the prophet Ezekiel later wrote, she and her daughters were arrogant, overfed, and unconcerned. They did not help the poor and needy. They were haughty and did detestable things before me. Therefore, I did away with them as you have seen. Even heaven could hear the cries of the oppressed. So the Lord himself came down to see. One afternoon, Abraham sat in the heat of the day, outside his tent. Suddenly, 3 men appeared, not ordinary travelers, but heavenly messengers. Abraham rushed to serve them a meal. After eating, the Lord spoke. The outcry against Sodom and Gomorrah is great, and their sin is very grievous. 2 angels continued towards Sodom, but Abraham stood before the Lord. And here, Abraham dared something few would attempt. He pleaded for mercy. Lord, will you sweep away the righteous with the wicked? Suppose there are 50 righteous people in the city, will you not spare it? The Lord replied, if I find 50, I will spare them all. Abraham pressed further. What about 45, 40, 30, 20? Each time, the Lord agreed. Finally, Abraham whispered, what if only 10 are found there? And the Lord answered, for the sake of 10, I will not destroy it. But there were not even 10. That night, the 2 angels arrived at Sodom's gates, where Lot, Abraham's nephew, sat. Lot knew the dangers of the city and begged them to stay in his home. They agreed, but before long, the men of Sodom surrounded the house. They shouted, bring out the men who came to you so we may know them. Their violence and perversion filled the night. Lot pleaded with them, but the mob grew furious, pushing toward the door. Then the angels struck them with blindness, and chaos broke out in the streets. The angels warned Lot, do you have anyone else here? Sons-in-law, sons, daughters? Get them out, for we are going to destroy this place. Lot begged his sons-in-law to flee, but they laughed, thinking he was joking. At dawn, as Lot lingered, the angels seized him, his wife, and his 2 daughters by the hand and dragged them out in mercy. Run for your lives. Do not look back. As the sun rose, judgment fell. Fire and burning sulfur rained down from the heavens. The ground shook. The sky turned red. Sodom and Gomorrah vanished in flames. But tragedy struck on the way out. Lot's wife, her heart still tied to the city she left behind, looked back. Instantly, she became a pillar of salt. The Lord had shown mercy, pulling Lot to safety, but her disobedience cost her everything. Lot and his daughters fled to the hills, and though they survived, their story turned tragic. Believing there were no men left, his daughters deceived him, and their children became the Moabites and Ammonites, nations that later opposed Israel. Sodom and Gomorrah became a symbol of judgment, spoken of by prophets and even by Jesus himself. Their sins were arrogance, cruelty, and corruption. But hidden in this story is mercy. God remembered Abraham. He delayed judgment until Lot was safe. He always saves those who trust in him. Today, we live in a world not so different. Sin is celebrated as freedom. Pride is praised as confidence. Prayer is mocked, and greed is admired. But Scripture warns, righteousness exalts a nation, but sin is a disgrace to any people. The fire that fell on Sodom is a warning to every generation, but also a reminder. God's mercy is real. His patience is great, but his judgment is certain. So friend, the question is, where do you stand? Will you walk with the crowd on the broad road to destruction, or will you take the narrow path that leads to life? If this story stirred your heart, don't just stop here. Like this video, share it with someone who needs to hear God's truth, and subscribe to the Storyteller's Bible for more powerful journeys through Scripture. Turn on the notification bell so you never miss the next story that could change your life.